Our today's session is on a very vital branch of management, which is supply chain management. Actually, this branch is not very old in management as an organized management branch. Okay, you may be hearing project management, you may be hearing operations management. Okay, but supply chain management has geared up its importance in last 50 years. But in last 20-25 years, it has become more prominent. Logistics management was there, transportation management we used to discuss, correct? But supply chain management is an integrated approach in the industry from the raw material to the finished good in the hands of customer. Similarly, the information from the customers, market, all external environments also go to the raw material production and to the manufacturing. We are going to have very basic sessions in the beginning because a couple of you may be in supply chain management, many of you may not be in supply chain management. But the most important point to understand in supply chain management is it is the most prominent branch or one of the most prominent branch in the management, and especially it will be the highest consuming AI technology into it. This branch will get a wing through the AI growth. Operational management is already having computerization. Project management is also having computerization. Okay. But supply chain management with the growth of AI will be almost to the edge of digital supply chain. Because supply chain management is going to handle a lot of data, a lot of information. Considering this aspect, whether you are in supply chain management or you are not in supply chain management, but one way or other way, you will be migrating to the platform of supply chain management. You cannot avoid supply chain management. You need to understand the supply chain management because one way or other way you will get connected to the supply chain management fabric. So we have a quorum on board with us now, and we'll start with very basics. So be with me in a couple of slides so that, see, if you see the product life cycle, okay. So the product life cycle is what exactly? A raw material. You can see serial number 1 on the screen right now, raw material. Then that raw material moves to a supplier, okay, and from supplier it moves to factory, serial number 3, okay. From serial number 3 it moves to when the factory, what factory does? Factory makes the finished good, convert the raw material into the finished goods. So that factory output, which is a manufactured products, goes to distribution channels. They are state level, district level, country level. Then it reaches to the respective retail stores of the city, which is serial number 5. And then it reaches to the customer, serial number 6. See now, this is a very basic understanding, okay? But it has a many information required to do their job. Just take an example of a supplier. Supplier is a middleman between the raw material producer and a factory. Okay? So what supplier does exactly? It takes the raw material. Say raw material producer is a farmer. Okay? So he is supplying wheat to the supplier. And supplier is supplying wheat to the food industry. Okay? Now imagine there is a reason that this factory is making the losses, and this factory went under shutdown for next 3 to 6 months time, and nobody knows it. And supplier has maintained an inventory of raw material for say 1 month, considering factory will consume every day. So supplier kept the stock of 1 month now. Factory stopped manufacturing. So what happened? Supplier either has to look for some other factory which can take the product for him, or if they don't take it, he has to sell it to the local market, whatever way he wants to sell it, okay? But probably he may not be able to sell even. So in that scenario, he has to bear the loss of that inventory which he built up in anticipation that factory will consume in next 30 days. Just one aspect. Or factory has not shut down. Factory has reduced this particular product production by 50%. So supplier has to bear the inventory cost for next 1 month extra, because now production time has doubled. And same time, this supplier has committed to the raw material fellow also that I am going to buy raw material from you. So next crop, I need this much percentage of your, this much tons of wheat I need from you. So the raw material supplier will be supplying to him. So he has committed upstream, which is raw material supplier, and he has committed to the factory also. But one imbalance at factory has shaken the supplier, and in turn supplier has to do a sorry cut with raw material. But raw material says, we are committed, I took already advance from you. A very simple example. This indicates that it's not only about manufacturing which is happening in factory 3. It is not about warehouses by supplier. No. It is something beyond that. Real-time information. I have not gone even to the 6th number now. I will go to the 6th number also. Customers have started disliking the product. Number 6. That impact has to come up to raw material 1. So if the consumer stop using your product, or the consumer has changed their taste, the factory has to produce new type of goods. The whole supply chain, 1 to 6 and 6 to 1, forward direction and reverse direction, they get impacted. It's not working in your cubicle now. I'm just triggering the concept in your brain right now that sitting in your cubicles, making your own plans in Excel, making your own plans in your respective software, do not work in supply chain. So what will work in supply chain? An integrated approach. Everyone should know each other. They should be in proper communication. Not only communication, they should be under the complete forecast umbrella, unified umbrella. They should be able to do correction on time. That is what the supply chain is looking after. So I'm trying to take a time over here so that you can understand by a simple picture, you can understand that supply chain is not an easy task. It handles mammoth of information at each stage, and integration also. I know and I don't care approach doesn't work here. I sent my email, I do not know what he has done, doesn't work here, because the integration means it's a real-time integration. That's why the supply chain management is responsible for ensuring the minimum losses happen, nobody should suffer, no wastage should happen, and everybody should get their product in time. Nobody should, the losses should be minimized, profit should be increased, optimized or maximized, correct? Without disrupting any process, whether it is warehouse process, logistics process, manufacturing process, raw material production process or distribution process, everything. So that's the very, very basic concept of supply chain management. Another just a summary picture. Sourcing the raw material, in my left hand side you can see here, manufacturing and delivering to the customer. So these are the basic triangle of the supply chain management, where the things are changing the phenomena. The raw material get converted in the manufacturing, it's a finished good comes. Finished good goes into the hands of consumer for consumption. So this triangle is very important. Logistics, transportation, storage, warehouse, they all come in between this. But ultimate objective is this process should be smooth. But does a customer knows from where the raw material is coming? Does the customer know where the manufacturing is happening? And why he should know? But same time, being a manufacturer or being a raw material manufacturer, do you know that where your raw material is going to use? Okay, you know that at least. But do you know which country is going to your consumers are residing? And say for example, if you are not aware about your raw material requirement across the world, probably you as a raw material producer, you have an option to produce 3 or 4 type of raw material. Okay, and say for example, I'll give very simple examples. Okay, rice, wheat, whatever you want to say, you take the simple example of the food grains, correct? But the current demand in the world is changing from wheat to barley, for example, correct? So as a raw material producer, you should know that which crop I should grow so that it has the highest consumption in the world, or I should get the best price for my raw material. So you should know what is the world demand, what is the world is liking now. You getting my point? So see, means you cannot close your eyes. You need to be an integral part of that supply chain management to optimize you maximize your profit. You may have to change your suppliers. You may find new suppliers in the market. You can find new supply channels. So these are just the triggers I am giving to think. Another trigger. Raw material, the 2 words to take here. Inbound logistics. Logistics is a part of supply chain management, okay? So when the raw material is moving from raw material to goods in storage before it goes to manufacturing, okay, it is inbound logistics. Or you can say a procurement cycle of raw material. It could be rubber, it could be steel, anything. Okay. But when manufacturing happens and the finished goods start traveling towards the customer through the outbound warehouses or outbound logistics, correct? That is your outbound logistics, reaching the finished good in the hands of consumer. Clear? So that is your the basic concept of inbound logistics, where the raw material is traveling, and there is an outbound logistics where finished goods is traveling. Okay, so it was just to make some basic things clear. That's an idea here. Now we'll see some typical definitions of supply chain management to get the things clear in the conceptually. Supply chain management is management of the flow of goods. Goods is traveling. The goods is traveling means raw material traveling in inbound logistics. Finished good or the product is traveling from manufacturing premises to the consumer. Am I right? Good. Second is data. See, every time, whenever you are delivering your product or you are delivering your raw material, a specific information is generated. Data is information, information is data. The 21st century is an era of data. You need information. Consumption data, pattern data, okay, consumer demand, all data, all information. Real-time data of manufacturing, real-time data of inventory. A simple example, you are a manufacturer, for example, or you are a supplier of a raw material, correct? And you are supplying to maybe 5-6 factories or 5 big manufacturing hubs, am I right? So now what you should know that you should have a basic plan from all the manufacturers that what will be your consumption demand for next 3 months. Give me your forecast demand. So accordingly, I will maintain my inventory for you. And at the same time, this is planned, but you have to track actual consumption, that factory A, which was supposed to consume 10 numbers every day from me, they promise me, but they are consuming 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8 every day. Average 7 or average 8. So you have to get connected with those manufacturers that, look guys, you gave your plan that you will consume at the rate of 10 per day, but you are consuming 7, 8, which is 20-30% less in your normal consumption pattern. So please tell me, because I have to, upfront I am loading my raw material, I am pressing my raw material supplier to supply, but your consumption is not increasing. This is a communication skill, that's fine. But on what basis you are able to tell this to your manufacturer? Because you have a data, you have information. So the information integration is very important, and that is nothing but the beautiful word called data, information. So goods and data, okay? Third is finance. So the goods flows from east to west, for example. So the finance flows west to east, opposite direction. Raw material producer gives raw material to the supplier. Supplier gives finances back to the payback to the raw material supplier. Supplier provides that product to the manufacturer. Manufacturer pays back to supplier. So the goods and data, they flow in opposite goods and finance, they flow in opposite direction. So the supply chain management is the flow of goods, data and finances related to a product or services. It could be a product also, it could be service also. For the procurement of raw materials to the delivery of product at its final destination. Yes, I said that. A to Z. So raw material, production and logistics, customer deliveries, that is the things, or these business activities are managed under the umbrella of supply chain management. Supply chain management is a centralized flow of goods and services, includes all processes that transform raw material into final products. It's an integrated approach, and it is a centralized approach. You will imagine that why Nitin sir is talking about the centralized approach, correct? Whereas raw material producer is producing his product, he's giving to supplier, manufacturer, then distribution channel, everything, correct? See, this was, again I'll repeat, that why we are talking of a centralized approach, correct? It was not a centralized approach before. Raw material producer is producing, supplying. Supplier is buying, supplying to manufacturer. Manufacturer is making the product, supplying to distributor. Distributors are giving to retailer, retailers are giving to customer. They are doing their job independently. And because, now I'm making something very critical, be cautiously listen to this point. Because historically they were doing their job independently. Left hand was not knowing what right hand doing, right hand doesn't know what left hand is doing. Due to lack of data and information. That's why there used to be, knowingly or unknowingly, the scarcity of product used to happen. Wastage of product used to happen in warehouses. Deficiency of raw material used to happen. Deficiency of product used to happen in the market. Because a word called centralized approach was missing. Suddenly you will see in the market, this product is not coming for next 3 months. Or this product is suddenly having a slow supply for next 15 days. Why? Because supply chain is not working correctly. So if the supply chain is not working correctly, you are going to have disruption of services, disruption of goods, disruption of data is causing all these things. And what happened actually? Let's understand one phenomenon. Goods supply disrupted, perfectly all right, no problems. Okay? So what will happen? Then everybody will say, I need this material, I need this material. So, okay, then they will try to balance, they will run after the products and everything, and they will try to balance. But you know what happened, the big problem here? We are not talking only of goods. On the last slide, what we see? Goods flow east to west, finance flows west to east, opposite direction. So what happened when the disruption of goods or services happen in the market? Automatically differences happens, or the gap happens in the financial models also. The cash flow get disturbed. Delivery is disturbed, cash flow get disturbed. So they together jeopardize the situation. And you know, when the cash get disturbed in the market, how badly it impacts. Because everybody is committed somewhere. Na? He has to buy something from somebody. A raw material producer is a farmer. See, he has to buy urea. He has to buy seeds. He has to hire the services. If he doesn't have a cash flow, his production will get impacted. So I'm just giving an example. A transport manufacturer or a vehicle manufacturer, automobiles, they have 1,000 ancillaries who are making 10,000 parts for their machines, for their cars and vehicles. So if their supply chain disturbs, if their goods movement disturbs, automatically their cash flow disturbs. So they are also having back-to-back 1,000 ancillaries working for them. Somebody is making nut for them, somebody making bolt for them, somebody making a screen guard for them, somebody making bumper for the car. Okay? Somebody is giving wiper for the car. So the point what I'm trying to make here is supply chain management is brought into the picture just to bring a centralized and integrated approach. Left hand should know what right hand is doing. Right hand should know what neck is doing. Neck should know what my brain is thinking. So an integrated, centralized approach. Another two more definitions to understand supply chain. In commerce, supply chain management is the management of the flow of goods and services between business and location. So goods and services, what is that? Between business and locations. Where you do business, what are your locations? So this is linked to businesses. Each location has its own business. So raw material has a location. Supplying raw material is a business to the next supplier. Supplier has to store it. So his location is warehouses. He has to supply to the manufacturer. Manufacturer has to manufacture it. So location is manufacturing plant. After manufacturing, he has to keep some material with him in his own warehouse, or otherwise he can directly send it to the distributors. So distributors, godowns, warehouses are the locations. So the flow of goods and services between business and locations. Supply chain includes the movement and storage of raw material, yes, movement and storage. Work in process inventory. Work in process inventory means already today I'm manufacturing 10,000 products. So that is my work in process inventory. Finished goods, I produce 10,000 goods by end of the day. So that is go to my inventory. Then an end-to-end order fulfillment from the point of origin to point of consumption. Fulfillment means what? Finished good is ready. Now finished good has to come to a warehouse. That warehouse has to pack it. Okay. Put a labels on it that A will go to Mr. Nitin, means A will go to Mr. Nitin industry, B will go to Mr. XYZ industry, like this. So it has to go to point of consumption, which is another distribution center, retail market, or the direct consumers. So fulfillment center is responsible for that distribution, packaging, distribution, labeling. Okay? So this is how an integrated approach comes in picture. Supply chain management is not transportation only. Supply chain management is not only manufacturing. Supply chain management is not only packaging, not only inventory management, not only transportation, not only logistics. It's an integration of all. That's why supply chain management is also being looked after a curious and a very prominent branch with highly high-tech infrastructure is going to be pumped into this branch of management. Five key elements of supply chain: planning, sourcing raw material, manufacturing, delivery, and returns. Okay, so far we have not discussed returns, so we'll talk about that also now. You know that the iPhone, they are trying to buy, you give your old iPhone and take, when you buy a new iPhone, you take your new iPhone. And many manufacturers are doing this, that when you do not want to use your product, don't throw it, we'll take it back. Or the scrap vendors will buy from you. Even if you are one small unit, the products start returning. So the supply chain is not limited to giving the product, finished good, from raw material to finished good in the hands of consumer. No. Supply chain incorporates the return cycle also. And we are going to see different type of supply chains, linear supply chain, circular supply chain, we are going to see. We are going to study our next 7-8 sessions are there on supply chain. We'll read the digital supply chain. There are going to be very interesting phenomena are there in the supply chain. So the return is also included here. And the planning phase refer to developing an overall strategy of the supply chain. See, when you are doing so much mammoth of work and integration work, central work, you have to have the planning. So the planning is a phase where you are planning, you are deciding the complete strategy of supply chain management. And other 4 elements are the part of execution. So they are part of execution. So planning plus the 4 components of execution are the 5 key elements of the supply chain. Just to correlate there, I have just put up a model of Starbucks supply chain, for example. Okay, so you can see that serial number 1, what you see is the sourcing of coffee beans, correct? And this coffee beans, when they are sourced, raw material, they go to the roasting center, item number 2. So the beans are roasted as per the specification of Starbucks, and those roasted beans are distributed to different regional distribution center or centralized distribution center, correct? That is a delivery concept. And similarly, the dairy consumer also are going to regional distribution center. Similarly, the office furniture also, because they want a specific layout every time. So there will be a specific furniture will be ordered for each franchises. And then after that, everything flows to the store, serial number 4. So that is the normal steps of a supply chain in Starbucks. And from phase 1 to all phases 1 to 4, the planning continues. Sourcing, making, delivery, stores, that is in the hands of consumers, correct? Everything is there, but plan continues from 1 to 4. Clear? Some basic statements, okay, so they will remember in your brain like why we are studying supply chain. By managing the supply chain, companies can cut excess cost and deliver product to the consumer faster and more efficiently. So when you monitor the supply chain, when you monitor your systems, you have the information, so you can excess cost, warehouse cost, okay, just keeping the product idling, okay, no need for that, okay, and you can send your product very fastly as per where you have the demand data. Say region A is demand is less, but region B is having more demand, and your product inventory in the region B is less. So you can divert. If you have a data, you have information, send more products to region B. So region B will get faster products. There's no waiting period for that. Correct? So that is why the companies can cut cost and deliver product consumer. And ultimately, it helps companies to make better profits. Their inventory times are reduced. Their inventories are reduced. And inventory is nothing but it's the money on the shelf. So if the inventory reduces, automatically company's profit boosts. Okay. Now we'll see the 2 important slides just from the point of view of carrying the things in concept. What is the objective of supply? Means what is an objective of supply chain management? Why we are talking supply chain management? What is an objective we are looking for from the supply chain management? Why should I take supply chain management? Why should I make supply chain management? So first is objectives. You can start from left. Improve efficiency. Everybody wants to improve their efficiency. Nobody wants sluggish response at any stage. And especially when such a complex relationship exists, it's not only that I'm efficient, so I can run faster, no problem, I'll complete my job. No. Supply chain doesn't acknowledge this approach. Supply chain acknowledges the definition that my all persons, all entities, all business models, component should work together and to work to their best efficiencies. So the final product should be reached in the hands of consumer with the most efficient way. So improving the efficiency. Optimizing transportation and logistics. What does that mean? If you have an information and your truck A, logistics, transportation, your truck A is going in the north region, and you know that the northeast region is just near to it, and your truck is going empty loaded. Okay, and you have the data that northeast region also need the products. So what you can do, you can definitely load more product into that truck so it can meet the demand of North region and Northeast region both together. Optimizing the things. I'm not denying that this was not happening before. Yes, it was, the load sharing was done in the transport, but remember one point here. Now we are talking of an integrated approach here. That means that truck does not belong to a transport company. That truck is a part of a supply chain where a company has to distribute its manufactured product across the region, across the state, across the country. Sometimes you take a container, remember, and if you know that your container, still you have to send the container across the globe, and your container is 20% empty, but you have to send it. But at the same time, if you have an information that this container 20% further can be loaded and it can be supplied to nearby country, so you are saving your cost, you are saving your logistics, optimizing your logistics. And not only that, you are saving time, you are making sure a product reaches early to your consumer across the globe, different countries, correct? You not to wait a new fresh cycle to send your products. Enhancing customer satisfaction. Multiple options are there in enhancing the customer satisfaction. You know, when you talk to your customers, your customer feedback when it comes online with you, you come to know that your customer tastes are changing, or they are not liking your product, or they are looking for the changes in your product. And that change needs to be reflected up to raw material production, starting from raw material production to the manufacturing. Sometimes your packaging are not good. So how do you come to know that? Integrate your marketing wing, sales wing, demand forecast wing, they are all integrated. Then that information reaches to the packaging manufacturer. No, you have to change your packaging color. What packaging material you are providing to me is not of good color. It's a good color, it's not good color. The matter is, the color is not being liked by the customer. So you have to do some redesigning of your packaging materials. Maintaining better coordination. What I'm speaking to you right now is, it clearly indicates a well-defined coordination. We need a good coordination. Improving quality. See, quality is a relative term, okay? Till the time you don't know that the product which you are making, okay, you are making with your quality standards, no doubt about it, okay? But till the time the quality which you are making is not, this product is working good in A region, but it is not working in the climatic condition of B region. So you need to produce a product fit for purpose for region A separately, region B separately. And at the same time, quality being respected across the raw material to the finished good in the hands of customer. Reducing the cost. Yes, we want to reduce the cost. You know that the global average of logistic cost is around, like supply chain logistic cost overheads are around 6, 7, 8% it comes approximately, correct? And like for example, India is trying to reduce this cost from 11% to 7, 8%. So this logistic cost, supply chain management is looking forward for that kind of waste avoidance. Okay, reducing the waste, making the more efficient systems, sharing the resources concept, because it will reduce the cost. Simple example. You are also dropping your son. Imagine a two-wheeler in our house, okay? And you are dropping your son to the school, okay? And your neighbor is also dropping your in his car to his son, okay? Correct? See, if I talk from the logistic point of view, or if I talk from supply chain management point of view, I just need to talk to my neighbor. Can you accommodate my son? If you want, I can share the cost for that, okay? See, what happens? One vehicle, one car are plying on the road, going to the school, correct? Simple example, sharing the resources. Supply chain management also, sharing the resources, reducing the cost. And next is, the last on this slide is improving distribution. I said that very clearly. Improving the distribution, how? How? Because you know the information, where required what are the inventory levels right now, what are the demand forecast, what is the requirement forecast, and accordingly we will improve our distribution. Probably, say for example, manufacturing premise is far away from the region A distribution center and region B distribution center, but A and B are located smaller distance, lesser distance. So if I know the data in A, that A is having some surplus inventory, So in place of sending a little quantity from the manufacturing premises and to accelerate the production, I can tell region A distribution center that kindly divert your product, this much product to region B, because region B need it. So no need to produce that extra product in your manufacturing and send it to region B. These are just very simple example I'm trying to make, so you can understand the concept of the supply chain management basically. And these are the objectives. These are the objectives why we need supply chain management. And when we talk of those objectives of supply chain management, the benefit which supply chain gives in turns to us, it encourages better collaboration with suppliers, better quality control, reduce our inventory and overhead cost. That is what I said. If I have a real-time information, why should I even invest more? Why should I produce? Improved risk mitigation. Yes, data is my savior. Real-time information is my savior. Stronger cash flow. Yes, the cash flow is essential. Without cash flow, business comes to standstill sometime. Correct? Because the credit imbalance happens. Somewhere credit in supply chain is for 3 months, somewhere 4 months. Correct? So this credit imbalance can only be mitigated by the stronger cash flow. So supply chain encourages, make such a practice that the cash flow be stronger in the market. A more agile business, flexibility. It allows the improvement in the businesses by making the businesses more flexible, accommodating. Better visibility and data analysis. Yes, the visibility, when you talk so much transparency, so much data, automatically you are not blind. You are supported by the data information. You are supported by real-time connectivity. You have the dashboard of information. Correct? So that's the broader benefits of supply chain management.